Good evening and welcome everyone. Welcome those who are following us through the web as well. Tonight's meeting will be studying together this great topic where science and Spiritism intersect. As usual, we start our meetings with an inspirational message followed by initial prayer so we can better tune ourselves with God and our mentors. Tonight's message is from the book Green Light by the Spirit André Lewis, psychographic by Francisco Xavier. Issues of criticism. Try to keep silent when you are not able to help. The private life of others belongs to them, not to us. We should understand that somebody else's mistake today could be our mistakes tomorrow. While on the pathway of improvement on earth, we all carry human being defect. The time that we spend criticizing could be spent doing useful things. Every time we criticize someone about his work, we are morally obliged to do it better than him. Remember that any time or given situation, the opportunities, point of views, interests, feelings, and education of others are very often very different from ours. Criticizing does not help, as the work of a person is what shows his value. He who loves helps and forgives always. I would like to invite you all for initial prayer. Please close your eyes. Dear Lord, spiritual mentors, we would like to thank you for this moment of our lives when we gather together to understand your teachings, this joy that you left here on earth for us. Please guide our hearts tonight so we can open ourselves to learn and understand ourselves and one another. Spreading your light with all of those in our family, with our friends, at work. Help us become mirrors to reflect this light, as we know that every time we spread your teachings, your love touches our heart. May we all be blessed tonight and throughout our lives. And please give us many more opportunities for us to disseminate your words. Thank you, Lord, and so be it. I would like to now invite Vanessa for this to talk to us about this great topic. And thank you so much for your time. And Vanessa, please join us.
Good evening, everyone. It's a great opportunity for us to meet again, and I hope you're going to enjoy this journey of tonight. Now, tonight we are invited to meditate on this very interesting topic, which is Spiritism and science, and where science and Spiritism intersect. So let's start by telling a story about Marie Curie. Marie Curie was born in Poland on November 7th, 1867. And she had wonderful parents that were poor, but the thing that they taught her the most was the importance of studying. And they said, if you study, you can go places. So she grew with that feeling that if she could study, she would succeed. But imagine, Poland was a very poor country as well, and had struggles in times of very great difficulties. Difficulties with other countries that were its neighbors. And Mahiko, he loved Poland, but she understood that if she wanted to go places, as they say nowadays, she needed to study at Sorbonne in Paris, France. So that was her dream. Her dream that she shared with a sister, her elder sister. Let's remind ourselves that she was not the only child. So Mahiko, he had other brothers and sisters, and despite the poverty, they went to school. And she had an agreement with her sister. And why with her sister? Because when she was 10 years old, she lost her mom by tuberculosis. It was a very hard time. Mahiko, he was a great student. She was an A student. She loved to study. But when she was 10, her mom died of tuberculosis. It was a very difficult time for all of them. And some students, friends of her, colleagues of her, she observed that at times they would cut her in crying because she felt the absence of her mom. So she grew in a very tough time, not only a poor family, but without her mom throughout her adolescence and adulthood. So she had tough times ahead of her. But her elder sister and her had this dream to study at Sorbonne together. But of course, as they were poor, they could not save the money. So their idea was, if one of them could work and save the money, so the other one could go to college. And of course, the elder sister was the first one. And she took the role of a governess in a very wealthy family house. And it was very interesting because she was very devoted, although she kept on dreaming of going to do her master's in Sorbonne. At the time, her sister was already studying, and she saved the money. But in the meantime, of course, something must happen. What did happen? She fell in love with the son of the family. But of course, it was a prohibited romance. The family would never approve of that relationship, although they respected her very much, but their levels of socio-economical levels were very different. So she was not approved on that romance, but again, she could not quit the job, because if she quit the job, her sister would not fulfill her dream, and their deal would go downhill. So what did she do? She gave up on her feelings, on her love, and kept on her job as a governess in that very wealthy family house. And there she had to swallow the love of her life and focus her mind on one day going to Paris and living there and studying at Sorbonne while her sister was already there. So that's an example of sacrifice for the love of our loved ones. But she was not an amazing and extraordinary human being only for that, because she had other struggles in her life in which she overcame and succeeded. So finally, her sister graduated, and it was her turn now. Her sister would work, and she would go to college. So she moved into Paris, but of course she could not only study. She graduated from her master's, but she wanted to do her PhD, but at that time, no woman would be, it was not common for women to do their PhDs. But that was her dream. So what did she do in the meantime? As she needed to work to raise the money to study in the near future in a PhD position, she applied for a job in a lab. That's what she loved. She loved to study about physics, the quintessences of matter that people barely knew at that time. So she applied for this job in a lab that I would say was a very lousy lab because they barely had the resources. If you read the accounts, they're going to say that in that lab they had barely had the minimum equipment to do chemical reactions. But anyway, she needed a job, she applied for that, and whose lab was that? Pierre Curie. Isn't that destiny? We know we Spiritists don't believe in destiny. We believe in reincarnatory plan that I may talk to you in future workshops. But Pierre Curie was the lab manager. And of course you may ask yourself, well, her name is Marie Curie and he was Pierre Curie. No. When she was born, her true name was Maria Sklovatska. And of course you may ask, well, why did she change her name? Well, she changed her name for the very reason that people could barely pronounce her name in France. Of course, just like here in the US. I have Chinese friends at work that my colleagues cannot pronounce. So what do? They had to change their names into a more American way. That's what she did. So she chose to be called Marie. So the French would be find it easier to call her up. And that's what she did. And of course in this relationship at work, Pierre fell in love for her because she was an extraordinary woman, very devoted, very serious, committed to the research. So of course they got engaged, they got married. And another thing that was very extraordinary from Marie Curie's side, Pierre didn't have his PhD. Pierre didn't have his PhD at that time. So what did she do? She encouraged him to get his PhD first. And of course one day she dreamt of doing the same thing. And then he would have a better job. And that's what he did. He got his PhD, and in the meantime they had the first daughter. And then she kept on helping him in the lab. And then it was her turn. She got her PhD too. And then in this collaboration between them, the great discoveries happened. And this is the beauty of the story, because in a love story you find the science that helps so many people. And what Marie and Pierre found out, elements of matter that radiated elements, molecules. What were they? They discovered radium and polonium. Radium, the reason why they gave that name was because of the fact that it emitted rays, radium. And polonium because she wanted to give that in honor of her country, Poland. That's why the name of the element, polonium. And of course, as we all know, in 1903, they got their first Nobel Prize. But by that time, they got really sick. And because of that, they could not go to Sweden to receive the Nobel Prize. Because of their exposure to the X-rays, they got sick and they were feeling very overwhelmed. But they didn't stop working. And of course, we all know that at the first Nobel Prize, they got it in collaboration with Henry Becquerel for their discoveries. And in the meantime of all this, they had two beautiful daughters that she engaged into the knowledge of science. And of course, we all know that one of them also became a very famous scientist and also got a Nobel Prize. And by that time, Pierre got his position at Sorbonne as a professor, and Marie got her position as a lab manager, and they kept on going with their research. Beautiful research, very important one for them, for all of us. But in 1906, something very sad again happened in her life. Her husband, Pierre, was leaving the lab, and then a horse carriage